Okay folks, so in this video I'm gonna try to explain how to install the Pac-Man. This is a AR60 cover that I designed to allow maximum clearance at the bottom. If you see here the AR60 axle, it's pretty tall and bulky, right? So all that space here is just ready to get hung up on the rocks or anything where you're crawling. So we want to remove as much as we can from here to get more clearance. So if you this is the stock gears that comes with any Wraith, Bomber. I'm not sure about Bomber, but Wraith, common AR60 vehicles. And if you put it in the axle, you will see that, you know, it's pretty bulky, but there's a ton of space here that we could right here and right here that we could eliminate to get clearance. So this is what this is, right? So this cover goes in there and will clear the space here, removing all this excess of plastic from the pumpkin. But in order to fit this in, you need to cut the axle. So I'm going to explain how to do that. This Pac-Man cover is designed to be cutted just below the bearings. So you see those two bearings that are on the side of the bevel gears. So the idea is to cut this axle all the way back at that point. So to be precise, we need to cut 29 millimeters. So let me just show you quickly. So those are 29 millimeters. So I'll remove this just to explain. So if you measure from the top of the pumpkin to the bottom, that's where we need to cut. And it's a bit hard to see. Let me see if I get a better angle. Right there. So just that is there. So it's just below the bearing. So we need to cut there. To cut this, so you can cut them this way or this way. It depends how you're using it, right? In my vehicle, I'm using the pumpkin on the right side, but if you're using the pumpkin on the left side, you will just cut them here, right? It doesn't matter. This Pac-Man is built to work both sides, but if you have the bearing on the left side, like that, you need the left Pac-Man, right? If you have the bearing, the gears on the right side, the bevel gear on the right side, like that, then you need another version of the Pac-Man that I also have in Shapeways that has the bevel gear space on the right side. So just make sure to check that out. Also, this differential locker from Axial is very bulky. It's huge, right? So there are aftermarket Diff lockers like the one from Hot Racing or Incision VP from Vanquish that is way thinner. It's actually thinner than the than the bearing. So if you can get that one, there's also Pac-Man that is thinner here, so we'll get more clearance out of it, out of this cutting. So depending what Diff locker you have and in which side you're putting the bevel gear, it will depend which version of the Pac-Man you're choosing. For this video, I'm just showing the standard Pac-Man, which is on the left side for a standard axial gears. So usually I run the pumpkin on the right side, so I'm gonna be cutting it this way, right here. To do a clean cut, I usually use this. It's very simple. This is a common saw It's very thin and has very small teeth. This is typically used for hard to see there. Typically used for cutting metal. So this will cut very nicely through the plastic, and since it's pretty wide, it's easy to make a clean straight cut. So you just need to measure it right. So since I'm cutting here, I'm gonna measure the 29 millimeters. I'm gonna check it out, and you will see that that falls right under the bearing. And when I say the bearing, I mean exactly, let me look for something to point out. Exactly here, that point. The bearing goes right there, so let me get one bearing just to show you. There. So the housing covers the bearing, right? Right there you can see better. Covers the bearing. So you need to cut at this point, right below the bearing. So it doesn't matter if you cut a bit more, a bit less, but it's just there at that point. So it's a clean cut, side to side. It's gonna make the axle almost flat. Okay. So in order to do that, what I do is that I pick this saw and I mark it. So I look it from here, and I just do it by eye. I really don't need more than that, and I just make sure that the cut is right below the bearing, just around there. So I'm gonna do a little mark here, just to mark where I want to cut. Right there. So if you see, I made, sorry for the camera, there's a little cut there, a little cut there. So that's gonna cut through right below the bearing. Okay. So now that I have the mark, I just need somewhere where I can hold the axle straight and cut it. And I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. Excuse me, I'm gonna move this a bit just to show you guys how to do this. So here, it's like securing the camera. There we go. Making sure that's aiming right. There we go. Okay. So here, right there, I have the marks from the cut on both sides, right? There and there. So both sides. So now what I want to do is I'll put this right here as straight as possible. I'm gonna press it a bit. Once it's steady, I'll probably move it around, make sure that it's straight, and make sure that the line there that I mark is a bit above, so I can actually cut it. I do this by eye. I think you don't need anything else fancier than this to get it right. Usually, that's all you need. So I just look around, make sure the thing looks straight, and then I'll press it a bit just to make sure that it's it is firm. I won't press it too hard because otherwise I'm probably gonna break it. It's still plastic, right? So just checking, making sure that this thing is really straight. Alright, so this looks straight to me. So now I'm gonna put the saw just where I did my marks. And I'm gonna start doing like this. Very easy. Easy peasy. Very slow. I'm gonna stop there. I wanna see how coming out. And you see I have a pretty clean cut side to side. Perfect. And just checking if it's just below the bearing. It's just below the bearing, maybe a bit higher, so no, it should be fine anyway. It needs to be right there above the bearing. I think it's fine. We'll keep cutting and see how it goes. We'll put this thing again. Once you start cutting, since the saw blade is pretty straight, it's just a matter of, you know, cutting. Like you don't need to push it or nothing, just don't force it. Let it go through naturally. It will go straight. And if that doesn't work for you, if you feel it's not going straight, you can always just sand it a bit later. Let me see how that's coming along. Just want to make sure this is well cut. Yeah, perfect. You see how it's perfectly aligning below the bearing? This is gonna come out right. So now I just need to cut. Put it firm. It feels firm there. And now I'll just keep cutting all the way back without forcing it and without pushing too hard. So the blade is gonna keep it straight. So I just need to keep moving till I go all the way back. We're gonna stop and take a big look. Where we are? Oh, perfect. You see the cut there? The cut is just below the bearing. Perfect. Perfect cut. Just below the bearing. Perfect. Okay. I was a bit worried that I was cutting too much, but this is coming out just perfectly straight, easy peasy. We'll just continue doing that all the way back now, because I'm 100% sure I'm kind of right. Be patient now. Sorry for the camera, it's moving a ton. It's coming. Just keep going straight, don't force it anyway. Just keep it coming. Just go straight and it will work out for you. Perfect. Now, as you can see, it's coming off. Perfect cut. You see how it gets? Just straight through cut. You don't need any fancy tool, just a simple saw blade. Now let me get this clean, all the plastic there, all the excess. Now let's go back to the bench. 1 second, guys. Here we are. Back to the bench. Okay. Alright, so this is the axle just cut, right? You guys saw right by yourself. You can see now that the cut is right where the bearing is. Oh man, it's not helping. Okay, there it is. Just in the limit of the bearing. Oh, it's really hard to show on the... Let me see if I can fix a bit the light. Oh, there you go. So you see, this is just in the limit. It's just cut perfectly, just in the limit of the bearing. Same thing here, just in the limit where the bearing ends. Don't worry about this. This is it feels a bit loose, right? But don't worry, it's just fine because Pac-Man has also support for that bearing, so it will hold the bearing just fine. So now Pac-Man goes just like this and should click when it goes in, because these holders for the back are built to just do a little click when they go through, and if you can see, they fit perfectly, and that makes a perfectly flat axle now. This is not my best print of the Pac-Man, but I guess it's making the point. Now to remove it, you need kind of to put it from here. So we'll test this out, how it works. So you have this, you put it back where it's supposed to be. It's holding out perfectly. You see the bearing is in the limit. Almost showing up a bit. That's perfect. That's what we want. You don't need those ring holders here anymore, because the Pac-Man cover will take care of that. You could do, if you guys want to see it. I don't have the bearings of this here, but this should go like this, right? And then the bevel here, right? And then you just place the Pac-Man right here. There you are. And here you are, folks. That's it. That's about it. Perfect. So now you will use these 2 screws that go all the way through. We will gonna on these 4 screws. That's gonna hold everything up pretty tight already. All those 6 screws. And I have these 2 screws here that they are meant to use kind of a flat head screw and screw up right there and hook here. So you will make a little hole here and hook them right like this. Pac-Man also includes a spacer that's to fill this gap right here. So you're gonna have a spacer that's gonna fill this gap that you're gonna put in, that has a hole in it that follows this hole. So you just need to drill a hole in this space right here, and then you put the screw, go all the way through, and you can put a nut in the other side if you want, and that will make this thing to be super strong, really, and will hold up pretty well. This is just printed in my printer, my personal printer, so it's not a full quality print. It's just to show you guys how it works. but when you get it from Shapeways, this will look way nicer. And again, this is the wider version because it's built for the stock years. As you see, the rims will fit perfectly, and that's why it's so wide. But in the short version, it's way smaller. And here I have my rig with the short ones. I'll try to show you guys without leaving a mess. So this is the let me put the camera a bit. This is the skinny Pac-Man install. As you see, they're comparing side by side. There's this big offset here, doesn't exist here because the off-market log is way smaller. And then I can show you guys the other way. Here, how it's installed and how it makes the whole thing perfectly flat. And here, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you guys, but under here, there are the flat screws, and they go all the way through. And they're behind this thing. You can see here there's this spacer that will let you screw all the way up to make the thing really tight and strong. And again, this is printed here on my house printer. I have a plastic on top, so it's hard to see what's going on below this. But yeah, it's basically the same that I showed you guys. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys like it.